Call this City Council work session for October 6, 2025 to order, and I will turn it over to our City Manager, Miles Braswell, to go over the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. Tonight you have 9 items on consent. Item B1 is the approval of regular meeting minutes from September 2nd, 2025. Item B2 is the approval of City Council workshop meeting minutes from August 18th, 2025. Item B3 is approval of the Watershed Review Board minutes from September 2nd, 2025. Item B4 is a request from the police department to declare 2 vehicles surplus to be sold at the public auction. And they are listed on the second page. It's a Dodge Charger and a Ford ambulance. Item B5 is a request from the police department for a budget amendment for interdepartmental budget line item transfer due to a position reclassification. This is moving $10,000 from the overtime line item into the salaries line item. Item B6 is the approval of an ordinance to close streets in the Eagle Park neighborhood on October 31st, 2025, so that they can have safe trick-or-treating. And you have the ordinance, and there's also a map showing where these certain barricades will be placed. Item B7 is another ordinance to close Main Street for the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony on December 1st. That's Monday, December 1st, 2025. And the hours, between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. for the Christmas tree lighting. Item B8 is the approval of an ordinance authorizing the closing of Main Street and the sale, possession, and consumption of alcoholic beverages related to the 2025 Bavarian Holiday Fest. And that is on December the 13th, 2025, with another date, just in case it rains, inclement weather date of December 14th, 2025. And there is a map showing where the street closures will be in the alcohol consumption area in downtown. Item B9 is the consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing the closure of multiple streets for the 2025 Gobble Wobble 5K. This is from the Belmont Parks and Recreation Department's 5K run. It will occur Saturday, November 15th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And there's a map showing the race location, or race route included with that item. And that is the consent. So Mayor Pro Tem, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Any questions on any items on the consent agenda?
Not a question particularly on the consent agenda. I was going to bring it up in other business, and we can talk about it then, but just curious about Pebble Creek for Halloween. I see Eagle Park road closure, but maybe we can save that to other business to discuss if you prefer.
Well, I just checked with the chief, Chief Falls, and he said that they have reached out to Pebble Creek. Pebble Creek has not completed the special events application. They've been in touch with one person over there. But that does not mean that the police department won't be there. Similar to last year, they didn't fill out an application, but we still had our police department patrol the area, making sure all trick-or-treaters are safe.
What's the deadline for the application?
It would have to be, well, the deadline is probably passed, but we have one.
We have
one workshop on the 20th, where if they get it in before the 20th, you won't hear it at that time. But that's the last date that they would have.
I just had one, I guess, comment in respect to the Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Like last year, that would be scheduled for a Monday, the first Monday in December. It would be a Monday where we have a council meeting. So I would suggest, if everyone is okay with that we get something for an upcoming consent agenda just to move the start time for our December 1st meeting back so that we can all attend the Christmas tree lighting ceremony and then come over here for the council meeting. Is everyone amenable?
Same day?
It's the same day.
Yeah, that
Yeah, last year we had the Christmas tree lighting at 6, and then we moved the council meeting back, start time was 7:30, so if y'all like to do that again this year, then we can amend the meeting
Move it
schedule.
forward.
Yeah, and I can't
Move
remember how.
the start time forward to 7:30, you said. That's what we did last year, right? Right, yeah.
The start time of a council meeting typically starts at 6, so we move it back to 7:30.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how we advertised that. I know we did it through the proper channels, but we could just put that on the social media blast as well. Because I remember some folks reached out that they didn't know that.
Yeah, they reached out to you.
Yes. So just if we can properly notify that through all of our channels.
Sounds good. Anything else? All right, if that's the case, that will conclude the work session, so I will call to order the regular meeting of the Belmont City Council for October 6, 2025. We have, for our invocation tonight, the Reverend J. David Hyatt with Park Street United Methodist Church. So everyone please stand for the invocation.
Let's pray. Loving Lord, Creator of all, we give you thanks for this city, for its people, and for the opportunities that we have each and every day to serve one another. As we gather together tonight, grant us humble hearts and open ears, ready to listen with respect and to value diverse voices. May a spirit of unity not only guide this chamber, but also extend across our neighborhoods and our streets. Bless our leaders with wisdom, clarity, and discernment as they face the challenges before them. May they lead with justice and love, serving their neighbors in ways that reflect your will and your care for all people. Once again, we thank you for this city, but most of all, for the gift of living together as neighbors. For we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Zooks would lead us in the pledge.
Please repeat after me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Reverend, for the invitation. So we have some recognitions and acknowledgments. Specifically, we have several proclamations before us today. So we will read these proclamations as sort of becoming our habit every month. But first of all, we have a proclamation recognizing Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 as Walk to School Day in the city of Belmont. Whereas National Walk to School Day celebrates the benefits of a safe and active lifestyle and safe transportation systems. And whereas first organized by the Partnership for Walkable America, Walk to School Day began in the United States in 1997 as a one-day event aimed at building awareness of the need for walkable communities. And whereas Walk to School Day events offer community members, state officials, and local school representatives the opportunity to collaborate on providing and maintaining safe routes that connect our schools, homes, and other community destinations. And whereas in observance of National Walk to School Day, children, parents, and community leaders across the nation are joining together to celebrate the health benefits of walking and inspire communities to make lasting safety improvements. Now, therefore, I, James Heffron, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Belmont, do hereby proclaim that Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, shall be designated as Walk to School Day in the City of Belmont and commend its observance to all citizens. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Belmont, North Carolina, to be affixed the 6th day of October, 2025. So it is now Walk to School Day on October 8th in Belmont. And I don't know if someone from planning is here, but we do have a Walk to School event planned for Page Primary on October 8th at 6:45 in the morning.
That's correct.
Leaving from Rodden Field. And so if anyone is inclined to sign up, I believe they're asking people to sign up and register so that they'll have sufficient food on hand. Yes? All right. Very good. Thank you. Well, we have another proclamation, this time recognizing October 2025 as Pedestrian Safety Month in the city of Belmont. Whereas every October, the U.S. Department of Transportation, U.S. DOT, and National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, celebrate National Pedestrian Safety Month. And whereas walking is a healthy mode of travel that is environmentally friendly, and in its newly adopted multimodal transportation plan, the city of Belmont has embraced the principle that all people should be able to travel safely throughout the community. And whereas walkability is a positive attribute of our community, and the city of Belmont is committed to safe and convenient mobility for all, and whereas walking in our neighborhoods is a valuable option for a healthy and family-friendly activity, and a safe pedestrian environment can support economic development and local businesses, and whereas, as we are all pedestrians from time to time, it is important to pay attention to what is going on around us, and drivers must remember that pedestrian crossings exist at every intersection, whether painted or not, and be vigilant to ensure the safety of pedestrians. And whereas the city recognizes the efforts from the Belmont Planning and Zoning, Police, and Parks and Recreation Departments in promoting the benefits of walking as a form of healthy recreation and as an active mode of transportation to commute to school and work. Now, therefore, I, James Heffron, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Belmont, do hereby proclaim that the month of October 2025 shall be designated as Walktober and Pedestrian Safety Month in the City of Belmont, in an effort to encourage all within our community to rededicate ourselves to enjoying the benefits of walking and ensuring the safety of pedestrians in our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Belmont, North Carolina, to be affixed this 6th day of October 2025. So, happy Walktober.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have a proclamation recognizing October 2025 as Community Planning Month in the City of Belmont. October is a very busy month there. Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live, and professional planners are uniquely positioned to guide communities through important decision-making around land use, transportation, and housing. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the full benefits of planning require public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of planning commissions and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the City of Belmont. And whereas we recognize the many valuable contributions made by the professional planning community in and around the City of Belmont, and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. Now, therefore, I, James Heffron, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Belmont, do hereby proclaim that the month of October 2025 shall be designated as Community Planning Month in the City of Belmont in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Belmont, North Carolina, to be affixed this 6th day of October 2025. All right. Well, happy Community Planning Month to all. That takes care of our recognitions and acknowledgments. I will entertain a motion to set the agenda.
Motion to set the agenda.
Motion by, will you second?
Second.
All right. Motion by Charlie, second by Alex. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is now set. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Alex, seconded by Charlie. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. All right. That brings us to general public comment. There is no one signed up for general public comment. However, we do have a number of public hearings, and a number of people have signed up for those specific public hearings, so we will hear public comment for the particular hearing at that time. There being no general public comment for item C1, we will move on to item C2, public hearing for TA 2025-04, neighborhood manufacturing. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
Motion to go into public hearing.
Second. Motion by Alex, seconded by Jason. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are now in public hearing. And to present the staff report, we have Michael Hales from the Planning Department. Welcome.
This is on your agenda, so I'm going to go ahead and pass out our documentation.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Hales. I'm one of the planners here at Belmont. I'm going to be presenting the TA 2025.04, which is neighborhood manufacturing. So the request came in from Silver Belmont LLC. The applicant is seeking to amend chapters 5 and 6 of Belmont's Land Development Code to allow for neighborhood manufacturing to be added as an allowable use within BCD zoning. The proposed affected sections will be chapter 5.11, which is the business campus development, and chapter 6.2.18, which is neighborhood manufacturing. So some background on the text amendment. Silver Belmont LLC has been working with Gaston County Economic Department, Gaston County Economic Development Commission to identify sites for a proposed project that has small-scale manufacturing options with office frontage. During this, they discovered that neighborhood manufacturing was only allowed within neighborhood center commercial and downtown districts. The applicant worked with staff to craft the desired text for the amendment, which has officially been applied for on August 1st of 2025. Planning staff met with Donnie Hicks and Alicia Sunny from Gaston County EDC, where they suggested an increase to the originally planned square footage allowance. And then the text amendment was then taken to Planning and Zoning Board on September 23rd, where it was unanimously approved as presented with a 6-0 vote. So for the current language, chapter 5.11 currently allows both light and heavy manufacturing within the district. Light manufacturing within BCD requires a 200-foot district setback, and heavy manufacturing requires a 400-foot setback. Chapter 6.2.18 currently allows, only shows NCC and DD as allowable districts. This use requires storefront along pedestrian-oriented streets and sets a maximum of 2,500 square feet in total manufacturing area. And it limits the use to existing non-residential developments that are fronting East Catawba and Main Street. For any use outside of these two corridors, it would require an SUP. For the proposed language, for chapter 5.11, the only proposed changes is to add the words neighborhood manufacturing uses into the available uses. And then for, this is because in neighborhood manufacturing specifically references NCC and DD, so that implies that it is exclusively only permitted in those two zoning districts and not allowed in any others. In chapter 6.2.18, it is proposed to add BCD into the listed districts, and there is no language in this chapter that is proposed to be removed, but instead restructured to allow existing language to keep the restrictions for NCC and DD, and new sections to be proposed for the added BCD zoning to expand it and better fit the character of that district. For the definitions, while there's no definitions that are currently being proposed to change, I wanted to highlight how heavy and light manufacturing is defined in our land development code, as they are both currently allowed in BCD, and also go over the definition of neighborhood manufacturing pretty briefly. As you can see, this is a lot of text. I wanted to mainly focus on the key differences between how the uses are defined, but I do have the full definition on the screen for your reference when I go over them. Heavy manufacturing is a manufacturing use that has a greater than average impact on the environment, or ordinarily have significant impacts on the use or enjoyment of other properties surrounding it, and or it has outdoor storage that exceeds the 25% of the floor plan of all buildings on the property. For light manufacturing, it is a use that does not typically create noise, smoke, fumes, etc., outside of the building or the lot, and is housed entirely within the building, or where outdoor storage does not exceed 25% of the floor area for all the buildings. So both of those uses are currently allowed in BCD as they're currently written. For neighborhood manufacturing, it's defined as very similar to light manufacturing, as it typically does not create noise or fumes outside of the building or property, but is also visually undifferentiated from an office building. And then shipping and receiving can also be seen as similar to a retail store, but it does not require, or it does not allow frequent deliveries by trucks with more than 2 axles. For the zoning map, I want to just give you a little glimpse of the areas in green that are reflecting the desired locations. So all the areas in green are BCD zoning, which is proposed for neighborhood manufacturing to be added to. At the outskirts of BCD, the zoning designation is often adjacent to GR and Gaston County residential uses. An example of this is the Oaks Commerce Project, which is off of Hickory Brook Road, and then the River West development. NCC and PDD districts located in the center portion of the Belmont in the pink are often surrounded or connected directly to BCD zoning. So at the planning board, this was presented, the text amendment was presented at planning board on the September 23rd meeting, and was recommended unanimously 6-0 to approve as presented. The planning and zoning board found that the text amendment was proposed to be, as proposed, was consistent with the goals of the comprehensive land use plan, as the proposed text is reasonable and in the best interest of the public, as it addresses the current need for lower intensity manufacturing types around existing residential areas, and provides more opportunity for more businesses to be created. Goal 1 of the land use plan, which is it seeks to ensure a balanced approach to land use that encourages a healthy tax base and a mix of uses. And also goal number 2, which is economics, as these provisions seek to create a desirable city for entrepreneurs, small industry, technology-based businesses, and the arts community. And then what we are seeking today is to receive the report, including the recommendation from planning board, public comment, and render a decision, which would be the motion to recommend the following: approve as presented, approve as modified, or disapprove. And then find the 2 findings, which are the text amendment is reasonable request, and in the public interest. The text amendment is consistent with the goals of the comprehensive plan in the areas of land use and economy. I also want to say that both the applicant, Milton Silver, and Donnie Hicks are here to speak if anybody has a question for either of them. I'm sure one of them would like to come up and say a few words, but otherwise.
Well, we might have some questions for you first. Any questions for Michael?
And maybe this is a question for the applicant, but I'm assuming from your unanimous approval that you're satisfied that the project as it's been presented meets the definition of neighborhood manufacturing?
Yeah, so we wanted to craft it in a way that it was scaled up a bit to what it already was, but stay true to the definition in BCD zone. But yeah, all businesses would follow that typical definition. The definition hasn't changed anything, so the project itself is set to conform to that definition.
And just to be clear, because this will become an issue, I think, later as well, yes, there is an applicant proposing a project, and when we are considering this, we aren't considering that specific project, we're considering all neighborhood manufacturing uses anywhere in something that would be the BCD classifications.
Just as clarification too, existingly, light manufacturing and heavy manufacturing is currently allowed.
They're both currently allowed.
This is almost like the lower
just because, like I said in the presentation, it's, because it's specifically called out in, NCC and DD, it implies that it's not in all the other districts.
These are primarily our business campuses that we have around. It's almost kind of just general housekeeping, really.
And just in layman's terms, can you distinguish between light manufacturing and neighborhood manufacturing?
It's mainly the presentation of it, and the fact, because I believe light manufacturing doesn't limit the amount of two-axle trucks that can come in and out for delivery. Neighborhood manufacturing does and requires that storefront along pedestrian-oriented streets.
And then just for my clarification, so currently neighborhood manufacturing is allowed in NCC and DD, is that
Yes,
right? And the way I understand it, if it's neighborhood manufacturing proposed along the Main Street and East Catawba Street corridors, that approval would be administrative, and then anywhere else outside of those two corridors would be a special use permit? Is that
Yes,
right?
that would be for those two zoning districts. BCD will have its own
Right,
separate one.
yeah.
Yes, it stays the same, just like it is.
Okay, and then the other difference, I don't know if you mentioned this, was NCC and DD, the maximum size is 2,500 square feet.
Yes.
This would be 10,000 square feet based on the different characteristics of the zone, is that right?
Yes, yeah, so we, it was originally proposed as, the current one for NCC and DD is 2,500 for total manufacturing. When we wrote the text, we wanted to scale up for BCD while keeping the same standard of the text, which is originally was applied for 5,000 per tenant. After speaking with Donnie Hicks is when we increased that to 10,000. He suggested it was kind of a sweet spot for a business like that, and it would bring in businesses that would stay longer, because a lot of the businesses that would go into this kind of area might outgrow it a little quicker if it was only 5,000.
Okay. Any other questions? So I guess is the applicant and/or Donnie Hicks from EDC here? Do they wish to speak? Maybe not. Here comes Don.
I do have a image that they brought in. I don't know if they accepted it on here. Just a display of an idea of frontage.
Well, we can display it, but again, I'll
We're not
just,
voting on it.
yeah, just preface Donnie's remarks and any questions. Obviously, there is an applicant sought this text amendment, but we can't consider just that project. We have to consider all such uses which would be allowed anywhere zoned BCD if this amendment were passed.
Sure. So I'm Donnie Hicks from the Economic Development Commission. When we looked at the real estate offerings that we have in the county, this is the type of product that we've needed for a long time. So if you have an early entry manufacturer that needs smaller space, there's almost no place to put that. And so we're almost categorically giving that business to all the counties that are surrounding us. So for a long time, we've desired to have high quality, smaller space available. So this is not inexpensive space. This is high quality space in smaller sizes. So until last week, we had a building to be 250. So if you needed anything above 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 square feet, we had it. For a long time, that kind of space has not been available in the county. This space has to be built in a location where someone can pay that type of lease rate. So I'm not going to pick on other parts of the county, but in other parts of the county, we can't build a product like this and lease it for the amount that it's going to take to do. So Belmont has some unique attributes: proximity to the interstate, proximity to the airport. Whenever the county suggested the increase to 10,000 square feet, not the applicant. I want to make that really clear. That was not his request. That came from us. The reason we did that, if you look at the way a lot of foreign direct investment comes to the region, they start small. They may open a sales office, they may open a showroom or some type of demonstration facility where they can show their machinery, equipment, or their products. And we have not been able to tap into that part of it. If you look at foreign direct investment in the county, the last 6 or 7 projects we've done have been foreign direct, including Lindahl from Denmark and Belmont. Those were kind of second stage companies. Where we've missed a lot are companies that want to come and set up their first U.S. operation. They're not quite ready to manufacture yet. And they want a high quality space where they can reach potential customers. And we're lacking that. So I think this is where it's going to help the county's efforts tremendously. That's why we suggested 10,000 square feet. Also at 10,000, no less likely to outgrow as fast. And it also just gives them more options. For example, if they need 7,000 square feet, not the full 10, if we're only for 2,500, every time we have a smaller user, we're going to have to come back to you and ask, can we put them in it? And as you have this multi-tenant space, you have multiple tenants in there, you may be left with 7,000 square feet, and that's what they want to lease. And so this gives you a lot more flexibility and works more in your favor than it does anyone else's. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Donnie?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
So other than the applicant, there is no one signed up for public comment on this topic. So assuming there are no further questions for staff, I would entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
Motion to come out of public hearing.
Motion by Alex, seconded by Charlie. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are now out of public hearing. That brings us to item C3, consider ordinance of approval for TA 2025-04 neighborhood manufacturing. Any discussion?
And I think this is pretty straightforward.
It's more like
That being the case, I would entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Alex, seconded by Charlie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I will also entertain a motion that this text amendment is a reasonable request and in the public interest and consistent with the goals of the comprehensive land use plan and land use in economy.
So moved.
Motion by Jason, seconded by Charlie. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That also passes unanimously. Thank you. Good job, Mike. All right. That brings us to item C4, public hearing for text amendment TA 2025-03 to permit tattoo shops and piercing establishments in the NCC zoning district subject to an SUP. And to present on behalf of staff is Rachel Brophy from the planning department. And we apparently have some handouts.
We do have some handouts. The handouts are letters and or feedback we've received from people since we published the agenda and or in its full composed nature, so we'll pass those around. They'll also be referenced, and I'm sure you'll hear them repeated as part of public comment.
Very good. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into public. Do we do that? I don't think so. Motion to go into public hearing? All right, motion by Kathy, seconded by Charlie. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are in public hearing, and I will recognize Rachel Brophy to present the staff report.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem, Rachel Brophy with the City of Belmont Planning Department Senior Planner. So staff received a text amendment application from Tucker Sword on behalf of Covenant Tattoo back in August to allow for tattoo and piercing shops in the Neighborhood Center Commercial District, subject to a special use permit. The applicant also expressed interest in dedicating a portion of the space to an art gallery. Staff worked through the review and analysis of the text amendment, and feedback was received. We recommended a few additional changes. So ultimately, we landed on proposed amendments to 3 different chapters. So definitions chapter, chapter 5, which is neighborhood center commercial, and chapter 6, which includes additional requirements. So a little bit of background here. The applicant was offered a neighborhood center commercial zone space downtown and discovered that the use was not permitted. So currently, tattoo parlors and piercing shops are only permitted in highway commercial, a district that caters to and promotes car-centric land uses. This has proven problematic for the applicant, as they would like to locate in a pedestrian-oriented and walkable area. Their vision is to turn an existing shop front into a vibrant art gallery, showcasing local artists while also promoting the art and rich history of tattooing. Additionally, the gallery will host regular walkthroughs where the entire shop is converted to a gallery.
Can you explain what that means? The entire shop is converted to
Sure.
a gallery?
And the applicant can speak a little bit more to this when he comes up. But as I understand it, that would involve the moving aside or out all of the chairs, stations really, where folks sit, and setting up actual installations so folks can come in and enjoy. And as I understand it, he has interest in doing this, I don't know, probably not monthly, that would be a bit much, but regularly, maybe quarterly, as I understand it. Yes. So current regulations state that tattoo and piercing shops are only permitted in highway commercial. Most highway commercial areas are located along Wilkinson Boulevard. This designation is coded for auto-dependent development and therefore caters to automobiles and drivers. Many of the existing buildings in highway commercial are flex commercial space and include larger scale retailers, restaurants with drive-throughs, and auto-oriented businesses. So as a part of our analysis, we looked at codes from a few peer communities to provide some context for how other jurisdictions regulate these two types of uses. So in Cramerton, both uses are classified as personal / professional services, so think hair or nail salon, and permitted by right in a number of districts. So for example, office institutional, neighborhood business, their central business district, which is their downtown, neighborhood business, general business, highway business, and industrial. In Mount Holly, tattoo parlors are permitted in general business. Within their central business district, so downtown, tattoo studios with an art gallery are permitted subject to additional requirements. So some of those are appointment only. The tattoo portion needs to be located in the rear of the building and may not occupy more than 60% of the gross floor area. Moving on to Davidson, they classify the use as restricted commercial and not permitted by right in any district, and therefore they need to go conditional zoning. And lastly, in Lowell, both are permitted by right in their Main Street, mixed use, and US 74 commercial districts. So really sort of in a nutshell, the proposed amendment is in line with and not out of character with how our peer communities are regulating these two uses. So part of this amendment included the creation of definitions, because we didn't have any in our code. So both proposed definitions were pulled directly from state language, so specifically North Carolina General Statutes 130A-283 and 14-400. So for body skin piercing establishment, it's an establishment whose only business is the piercing of a plane of skin on any body part except the ears for the purposes of inserting jewelry. So I want to clarify here, for the piercing establishment, the reason that ears are called out is to ensure shops like Claire's at the mall or Zales, which is jewelry sales, that offer ear piercings as accessory to retail are not considered a piercing establishment. Okay, so let's see. Tattoo parlors and permanent cosmetic salons are defined as an establishment whose only business activity is placing ink under the skin using needles that results in the coloration of the skin. So I want to clarify with this definition here, it includes both tattoos sort of in the traditional sense that you might think about, but it also includes permanent cosmetic tattooing. So this is what is known as permanent makeup, and it can include lip liner, eyeliner, and most popular, eyebrows. So microblading is popular with folks from alopecia, so folks who deal with hair loss, and those with fine, light, or sparse eyebrows. Cosmetic tattooing can also include folks who have had a mastectomy or are seeking to cover up or camouflage a scar. Some traditional tattoo shops offer that kind of tattooing as well. So moving on to the proposed text amendment. So in addition to adding the two definitions to Chapter 2, we're also looking at adding tattoo and piercing establishment uses to the permitted uses section of Chapter 5.6.3, subject to requirements in Chapter 6 and also subject to a special use permit. So as staff was crafting the additional requirements, we relied pretty heavily on how Mount Holly regulates. So we were working to try and navigate and balance what might be acceptable to the applicant and what might actually have support. Ultimately, we want to do the right thing for the citizens of Belmont while considering the merits of the amendment and the purpose of text amendments as discussed in the Land Development Code. So the purpose of a text amendment is not to relieve a particular hardship or to confer any special rights or privileges to anyone. It is to make adjustments in light of changed conditions or changes in public policy. Part of that could include changes to public perception around tattoos. So a big part of this amendment is the requirement of a special use permit. The purpose of a special use permit is to allow for the establishment of certain uses that may require special review for design, location, and impact on surrounding properties. This helps to ensure appropriateness, compatibility with surrounding uses, and the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. The process involves a quasi-judicial review where council considers the competent, substantial, and material evidence presented to determine if the permit can be issued. So specific standards include sort of what we just covered, and they're outlined in A, B, and C. So really basically, it needs to meet the code, the use needs to be compatible with the surrounding area, and it needs to not harm the public health or safety nor injure adjoining property values. So it's important to note that the text amendment overall is broad, while the special use permit will allow council to evaluate each proposal and location against these required standards. So let's just go ahead and compare real quick highway commercial regulations to neighborhood center commercial. So when we look at what's principally permitted in highway commercial, we see a standalone flex commercial space that's principally permitted. Signage allowances are more permissive. With highway commercial, really, there's less oversight. Whereas when we look at what's proposed for neighborhood center commercial, we see that only shop front buildings are permitted in downtown. Signage is more limited. The uses would be permitted only by approval of a special use permit, and we also have some supplemental regulations. So let's talk a little bit about how tattoo and piercing shops are regulated by the state. So it's North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. They require a tattoo and piercing permit from the local health department. The purpose of that is to inspect the premises, instruments, utensils, equipment, procedures, and this permit needs to be renewed annually. The state prohibits the tattooing of minors under age 18. For piercings, minors can only may only get their ears pierced without parental consent, but for all other types of piercings, they must be at least 18 or have parental consent. And performing a tattoo or piercing on an unqualified individual can result in misdemeanor charges. Really sort of the overarching goal of the public health department and the purpose of the permit is to ensure that health and safety measures are adhered to. So as the applicant was gearing up for this meeting, they reached out to some potential downtown neighbors to get their thoughts on potentially having a tattoo shop as a neighbor. What they received was an overwhelming response. In addition to hearing from some potential neighbors, a petition is currently circulating with more than 1,000 signatures from folks, both Belmont local and regional, voicing their support for the applicant to be able to open a space downtown. So this amendment was discussed with folks from our technical review committee, and police and fire did not have any comments or issues with public safety concerns. We did hear from community development, and they provided us with some informal and initial comments, which that was one of the sheets that was handed out to y'all at the beginning. Opinions were mixed, and we did hear about some concerns. I want to be clear that these concerns were taken into account when crafting this amendment to include the extra process and layer of protection, if you will, that the special use permit provides. The special use permit allows for a more detailed analysis and each proposal to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
So can you go back just a minute? I have a couple of questions about this slide.
Yes, sir.
So the first, I'm looking at the second bubble, if you will.
Mhm.
Community development shared that there are mixed opinions on the proposed use expanding the downtown, but no specific changes to the text amendment were proposed. Why would that be an onus on people who had concerns? They're not the ones seeking to amend the text amendment. Isn't the onus on the applicant to convince us to amend? Isn't it a legitimate position to just say we think things are fine the way they are under the code?
Sure.
So why would they be asked to provide specific changes?
Sure. So we added this information to the slide mainly to point out that at the time that we requested feedback, the Main Street Advisory Board had not had the benefit of actually seeing the redlined text, and so at that time, they would not have had the opportunity to know how it was drafted or provide any comments for potential modifications. It's not to say that they should have or had that onus. It's to say that typically our text amendments are not sent for a formal recommendation to the Main Street Advisory Board, even for things that are impacting neighborhood center commercial as a matter of process. And so it's just to note that we did capture that feedback and address some of the concerns raised, but that the text itself was not sent for a formal recommendation.
Yes, I understand, and you did in this case, though, as I understand it, the community development director, with your permission, emailed the members of the DBDA with soliciting comments, and I believe those were passed out, and there were not just some concerns expressed, though. It's my understanding that a majority of the members that responded expressed opposition. Would that be fair to say?
I would say that a majority of the voices expressed via email were opposed to the idea, and for various reasons as captured, and the majority of the themes based on that opposition were ones of visual and functional compatibility, neighborhood character, the intent and goals of downtown, as well as the family-centric nature of our community. And so we have received those voices of concern, and that is where we wanted to make sure that those were things that could be addressed in the special use permit process.
So while and I was at the planning board meeting, so while it's technically true that no members of the DBDA were there, they did have an opportunity to express their concerns prior to that meeting. So they had raised their voices in that regard through email. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So this item did go to the last planning board meeting in September, and it was recommended unanimously to approve 6-0 with one modification. And their determination was that the text amendment is a reasonable request and in the public interest, and the text amendment is consistent with the goals of the comprehensive plan in the areas of land use and economy. And this sort of outlines that a little bit more. So when reviewing any petition to amend the land development code, staff, planning board, and council shall consider whether the requested amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and principles of the comprehensive land use plan. So this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to try and answer any questions that y'all may have. I do know that the applicant is here as well, if you have any questions for him.
Thank you, Rachel. Any questions for Rachel? Well, I have some.
Yes, sir.
This is a text amendment, and Chapter 20 of the Land Development Code sets forth the procedures for amending the From whom may text amendments originate?
I mean, I don't know the code off the top of my head, but I don't know. Anyone that's
Sure, text amendments can originate from a variety of sources, one being at the direction of City Council. They can also be initiated by staff if there's an expressed concern or a need for a change, as well as any member of the community or public can petition for a text amendment.
And what was the source of this text amendment?
This one was a community initiated and applied for a text amendment that was submitted and paid for privately by the applicant.
Okay, and I was paying attention when you all did the comprehensive land use plan update and everything, and I believe that this code, the current code, has existed in some form or fashion since about 1995. Is that correct?
Yes, there has been some modifications, including a 2008 update, and then staff has been incrementally making changes in conjunction with City Council and the community since that time, but we are due for a full and comprehensive update here shortly.
Sure. And are you aware in any of those years, in any of that time of the current land development code, that are you aware of staff ever seeing the need to propose a text amendment permitting tattoo shops in the NCC district?
We did some research. There was a member of our planning board that had expressed that potentially there was one that might have been in operation years ago. We did not find any validation of that, but it's not to say that that's not accurate. It's just to say that based on our records and the current staff members we have, our longtime historian is no longer with us, and so we just want to make sure we're transparent. We don't know that one has had that need. We also don't know that one wasn't in operation and then asked to relocate upon notification that they weren't there. We also know that there have been other ones in Belmont, but we have no awareness of a text amendment that has been petitioned to date or any outcomes of that.
Okay, thank you. You just anticipated my next question about the guy, the
Yes.
supposed tattoo shop where the pharmacy is now, but you weren't able to run that
No,
down.
I did a deep dive.
Yes. So you also talked about tattoo shops are currently permitted in the highway commercial district, which you emphasize caters to auto-dependent development. Is there some reason why it would be unheard of to drive to get a tattoo as opposed to walking?
I would defer to the applicant. That is not my area of expertise. I don't think it's unheard of by any means. I think it may be more of a business preference as to why he would like to locate in a pedestrian oriented type of environment.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about through the applicant's proposal and then the modification by planning board of this requirement that there be the frontage be a shop front, like an art gallery or retail, and then the tattoo and body piercing be in the back. I know planning board asked this as well. At what age would people be allowed into the store, given that there would be a non-tattoo body piercing use in the front of the store?
As far as I understand it, I don't think there is an age requirement to go in and be in the front portion. I didn't see anything like that when I was researching state regulations.
Okay, and how would the front non-tattoo use be partitioned from the tattoo body piercing use? So would there be visibility of the tattoo and body piercing operations from the front of the store, or would it be partitioned, or how would that work?
So, I mean, I think this sort of depends on each individual shop. The state does require that they be separated. And so there are different versions of what separation means. I know some shops have basically a pony wall with like a short wall with like saloon type doors, or stuff might be more enclosed. I have seen folks who use like movable partitions as well. So there might be the possibility, yes, that it would be visible from that front portion if you were to step foot in there, yes.
Okay.
I would
And-
add to that, I'm
yes.
sorry, I would add to that one of the values of the special use permit as a process is that evidence would need to be submitted by each applicant that demonstrated the findings in order for you all to be able to have the evidence needed to make that finding and approve it. So that could include floor plans and more detailed information about that separation.
And we've been talking about both a tattoo shop and a body skin piercing establishment. Is it possible, if we were so inclined, to allow, say, a tattoo but not the body skin piercing in the zone, or are they like a package deal?
I mean, a lot of places you will find that they are together, but no, it's not necessarily a package deal, and that would certainly be up to your discretion and under your purview.
Okay. And how would the requirement of the tattoo shop being in the rear of the building work for a corner lot? If you recall, we had some issues with what constituted the rear of a building with the Saki Express. So if there's a corner lot, what's the rear of the building for purposes of locating the tattoo operations?
Well, typically, I believe that's where you gain entrance to a business is typically viewed as the front, and also what's widely accepted in the planning and zoning profession is usually the more narrow lot line is what is considered the front.
Okay. And how would you determine whether a shop is in compliance or remains in compliance with the requirements of the proposed section 6.2.30 in terms of the 60%, 40%, the rear versus, especially if like we're moving things in and out all the time to
Sure.
convert to an art gallery or something?
Yeah, sure. I think that's fair. I mean,
Thank you.
Part of this too would include the review of a site or a floor plan, and as has been discussed, that can definitely be something that is vetted through the special use permit process.
Okay. I want to ask a question about the staff report, specifically on page 5, which is page 84 in the agenda packet. There is some language, and I'll quote it. The chief goal of this plan is to preserve existing character with the needs of a growing and vibrant community. Any new uses or exterior modifications need to support this goal while also being compatible in character and form. In terms of character, any new uses should be consistent with the quaint feel and atmosphere that currently exists downtown. What does the word quaint mean to you?
I would go back, and this is why we think that special use permit is a valid approach here, because quaint means like small town charm, which is what's identified in our plans, and that's about as detailed as our comprehensive land use plan defines it as well. So that really is up to your discretion as to what that ultimately means, but the special use permit process would put the burden to make that claim and defend it on them with evidence. And so from my perspective, something that I would look for is the sizing of the sign, is the scale of the shop front window, is the look and feel from the outside, generally in harmony with others that are nearby. But that is subjective, notably, and why it would be important for us, and why we wanted to make sure that the recommendation was brought forward with a special use permit process that would allow that to be more carefully vetted.
Okay, because I would agree with you that according to the definitions I've seen online, quaint means having an old-fashioned attractiveness or charm.
Sure.
Consistent with what you said. So in your professional opinion, would you consider a tattoo shop quaint?
I'm going to be honest, I've seen tattoo shops that look and feel in very different ways. I've seen some that, based on their signage and need for advertisement from the outside, look very loud and bold. I've seen others that feel very demure from the outside, and that other than it saying tattoo as part of the business name, you may have no idea from just the size or type of signage that they would be anything other than a retail shop. So it depends. I believe on one of the slides there's one that feels more consistent in character with that because of it being in a shop front. And so just like any other business, I think that the way that they do their outward signage and condition their facade makes all the difference, whether it's retail or tattoo.
But it's not just like the visibility that we're concerned about, it's also the use, and whether the use is consistent with what is going on downtown. Is that not correct?
Sure, and so with having it be a storefront that's a use other than, even if the use would have otherwise been visible, because it will not be in the front part of the store as you're walking down the street, from my understanding of how it's proposed, the use itself, people walking by that storefront would not see people in tattoo studio chairs or piercing chairs, because that would be relegated to the rear of the building.
Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. We've talked a lot in terms of the letters of support and what we've seen about the quality of this applicant's tattoo shop. But as you all well know, I'm assuming for purposes of zoning, if we approve this amendment, then any tattoo shop and body piercing establishment would be a permitted use anywhere in an NCC zoning district. Is that correct?
That is correct, subject to the special use permit.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a minute as well. I want to talk for a minute about Chapter 5.6 of the Land Development Code. And I think there was a slide, but the introductory paragraph to Chapter 5.6, which deals with the characteristics of the NCC district, is that right?
Yes.
So Chapter 5.6 of the code says, developments in the NCC districts are to emulate the Main Street characteristics of downtown and East Belmont. So what does that mean to you, the Main Street characteristics of downtown and East Belmont?
Right, and this goes back to what I've been saying. A lot of the language in our current code is subjective. We are a form-based community, and so the language in there can sometimes feel, for lack of a better descriptor, fluffy. It is why it did not feel appropriate for us to be able to make those calls administratively, and why we wanted to make sure that that opportunity was presented to City Council. But it is admittedly hard to define.
Okay, so I think there was a slide on how Chapter 5.63 would be modified by adding these uses. If we can pull that up somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, there it goes. Yes, thank you. So based on the planning board's modification, the shop front space, which is going to occupy the front of the building, they were concerned about downzoning, were they not? And so they modified the provision to read that that this shop front up front can contain any other use permitted by right in the NCC zoning district. Is that correct?
That's correct. Originally, when it went to them, it was proposed as an art gallery or retail only in the front. But because of concerns related to downzoning and prohibiting spaces that were, or uses that were otherwise allowed in other areas in neighborhoods that are commercial, they recommended that that be expanded to any other permitted use within the zone.
So yes, very good. So if we look at these permitted uses up here, please, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on my reading of that, you could have a bed and breakfast inn with a tattoo parlor in the rear. That would be permitted, would it not?
Based on the language that's in the code, I'm just trying to find bed and breakfast, but I believe you that it's on that list. But if it's on that list without any other required improvements or processes, then yes, that would be true.
And you could have a travel agency with a tattoo parlor in the rear. That would be permitted, would it not?
Based on planning board's recommendation, yes.
And you could have a law firm with a tattoo parlor in the back, and that would be permitted, would it not?
Based on planning board's recommendation, that is correct.
And you could have a restaurant with a tattoo parlor in the back, and that would be permitted, would it not?
Per zoning, that is correct, although I do think that they would need to get the approval of multiple other regulating bodies.
You could have a funeral home with a tattoo parlor in the back, could you not?
If you so chose.
And you could have a market with a tattoo parlor in the back, and that would be permitted, would it not?
Per zoning, yes.
And you could have a dance studio with a tattoo parlor in the back, and that would be permitted, would it not?
That's correct.
And you could have a toy store and a tattoo parlor in the back, and that would be permitted, would it not?
Based on planning board's recommendation, that's true.
And you could have a daycare center with a tattoo parlor in the back, and that would be permitted, would it not?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And so I just want to finish up by asking about the SUP. So pursuant to the planning board's recommendation and the original recommendation, these would be subject to an SUP, but if this amendment were approved, tattoo shops would be a permitted use in NCC, all tattoo shops. Is that correct?
as an underlying, yes, but effectively, if this text amendment got approved as presented, none would be able to open without further discretion and further authorization by city council.
Okay, and last question, there's a slide about the special use permit, if we could pull that up. And so we talked about how a special use permit's a quasi-judicial proceeding, and the applicant would have the burden of proving certain findings, is that correct? And you've got one of these findings, the second finding, in fact, B here says, the plan submitted and approved must be visually and functionally compatible to the surrounding area. What does functionally compatible mean to you?
Mean to me personally might not be the same thing that it means to council, since council is the one that ultimately is making the decisions on special use permit, but my understanding is that it would allow you to review evidence that shows that the design of the exterior from a visual perspective would be in harmony with the surrounding and adjacent properties and uses, and functionally would not harm, endanger, or and otherwise compete, or that it would complement the surrounding businesses. Again, the special use permit, that would all have to be based on evidence, and the burden to provide that evidence would be on each applicant individually, and then presented to you with enough evidence in order for you to feel comfortable making such a finding.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the questions I have. Does anyone else have any questions?
I think you covered it.
Took most of my questions.
I guess just one thing on the SUP, because whenever we have this stuff and propose stuff to try to put it through the special use permit, what we run into is, as Jim mentioned, it is quasi-judicial, right? Essentially, it's fact of finding has to be presented, and essentially the fact has to also be presented against it, is what we generally run against, right? And generally, that becomes kind of controversial because it's hard to sometimes separate the opinionated kind of decisions or legislative decisions from an SUP. We had multiple instances of what Jim just called out where our planning staff could not appropriately define or give us a definition such as quaint and other pieces. So if we're trying to tie this into an SUP or a special use permit, I as a council member would have a very hard time trying to define that, right? With a true fact base of trying to point it specifically. So again, maybe just more commentary from what Jim's kind of additional questions or roll-on questions were, but just a point there.
Sure, and I would say to that, some of those key definitions, if there was ever language like that that was brought up, the definition of quaint and some of the other verbiage that's used in the land development code, those are more in the descriptors as opposed to in the strict requirements, but are certainly valid in terms of helping to guide decision-making within a special use permit or any other type of land use decisions. That is something that we hope to be able to clarify better in our code rewrite, but for the time being, it's what we have now. And again, that level of ambiguity would be not only something that we would hope to be able to help answer with the ability to prepare for that special use permit to be able to better answer those questions specifically targeting these items, but ultimately be questions that in the event that the applicant was not able to provide enough evidence to make you feel comfortable making the finding, then you would have no obligation to approve the special use permit. That would really be their burden to make sure that what they were proposing felt so strongly in line with the code and these findings that you would have the comfort to make the findings themselves.
Any further questions from anyone? All right, well, thank you. As always, you're never truly done around here. We might
That's
call
right.
you
We'll
up.
be right back. We're in the front row.
Yes. So with that, we do have a lot of people signed up, but we will, if the applicant wishes to present, we'll hear from the applicant first and then go through public comment. And if you would just state your name and address, please, and then,
9406 Deer Spring Lane, Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, so my name is Tucker Sword, and I'm here speaking as the owner of Covenant Tattoo. We are seeking the text amendment with special use permit to allow for tattoo shops within art gallery space to exist within the NCC downtown Belmont area. Covenant, which is a little bit about Covenant Tattoo. We want to skip forward. How do I do this? How do I do this?
I think that put it in
I
the
think it's gotta be in presentation.
presentation.
You should be able to click the clicker, or the right arrow.
All right, so just a little bit about Covenant Tattoo. We opened in October of 2024.
We pull the microphone up and speak to it, please, for the people in the back.
Sir. So Covenant Tattoo, we opened in October 2024. We've rapidly grown to a destination tattoo spot for people all over North Carolina. We have clients that drive anywhere from 20 minutes to over 6 hours to see us on a regular basis. In less than 1 year, we have accumulated over 108 five-star reviews. For comparison, Made to Last Tattoo, a prominent tattoo shop in Uptown Charlotte, opened nearly 10 years ago and has 385-star reviews. So in 1/10 of the time, we have achieved over 1/4 of their reviews and counting. A little bit about myself. Star reviews. So just about me right here. I've been tattooing for 7 years. My art career goes back over a decade though, and spans multiple mediums. I've designed company logos, had art displayed at the Mint Museum. I've painted murals all over the area, including some right here in town, where I was hired by the city of Belmont for the side of Jekyll and Hyde. I have paintings commissioned by Red Bull, Jack Daniels, Pabst Blue Ribbon, USC Chapel Hill, Myers Park Baptist Church, and many other Charlotte businesses as well. My current team includes 2 other multidisciplinary artists, and we are planning to add at least 2-3 more upon arrival. Currently, tattoo shops are only allowed in highway commercial on Wilkinson, so you might be asking why downtown. And this is our team right here. So why downtown? The safety of both our staff and our clients is our top priority. Oftentimes, our artists have to leave at the end of the day with cash in hand, and we would prefer the added security of the bustling downtown area, especially for our female employees and patrons. The price point of our tattoos is anywhere between $100 and $1,400 for a full day of tattooing. And so we believe that our clients would be better served with a more boutique experience than otherwise a strip mall tattoo experience. Foot traffic for us is essential for the art gallery especially, but also for walking tattooing and just for visibility for our artists seeking to get more walking traffic. And then we do all-day appointments with people. And so we have people that will need walkable food and drink within the close access of the shop itself. And then also we were offered the building about a year ago by Frank, the owner of the building. And it wasn't until we submitted the picture that I made to kind of show what we wanted the signage to look like that we found out from the city that we were not allowed to be in downtown. So that's when this whole process sort of began. All right, and then just why Belmont? So the atmosphere and the appeal of downtown Belmont has the small town, Main Street feel and charm that we believe we would be in perfect addition to. Belmont doesn't currently have anything like our shop. All of my artists are illustrators and painters. And Belmont, I think, needs an art gallery, a place for people to come see a collection of artwork from local and international artists, canvas paintings and murals, figure drawings and abstract works, or original illustrations and framed artist prints, some for sale and some just for reserving. We would be that place offering Belmont a location where they could commission a piece of artwork to decorate their home, give as a gift, or hang in their own business, bringing tourism as well to Belmont. So with the special use permit, our special use permit is suggesting that our business have a 60-40 split up of space, 60% being a tattoo piercing space, 40% for our purposes being an art gallery, and a merchandise shop as well. Yeah, so the gallery, we talked about this, you guys had some questions about the gallery being separate from the tattoo area. We're not exactly sure how the construction would have to operate, but we will do whatever the city has recommended for us to do. We can absolutely build walls in there. There needs to be perfect separation, but legally with tattoo shops, all ages are completely allowed within the state of North Carolina to cruise through the tattoo shop. It's probably not going to be a very common thing that you have children walking around a tattoo shop, but being that it's an art gallery, there will be a space that offers something to literally everyone in the state of Belmont. Okay. All right. So let's see this thing. So the effect on community. Or actually, let's talk about this real quick. So community feedback so far. We made a petition for people to sign asking for support for our text amendment. And so far, we received 1,226 signatures. Over 70% of those signatures were from zip codes 28012, 28056, and 28054, all within Gaston County. So about 860 locals seem to love us already. We put out a video to let people know about our petition as of today. It has over 61,000 views and only positive comments in response. We've also received 8 letters of support from local business owners saying that they believe this is a great idea for their town. All right, so the economic and community benefits of the tattoo shop and art gallery. So we will preserve and showcase creativity, provide a platform for local and international artists to share and sell their work, expanding cultural awareness, dialogue, and art appreciation. There is an educational value along the tattoo shops, or at least ours will, and also with the gallery. We plan to host workshops, lectures, and hopefully school tours for all ages, helping students and the public engage in art directly. We do think that we will inspire local spending. It's true where we are now, that visitors to the gallery and this shop will often spend money in nearby restaurants, coffee shops, antique stores, and retail, boosting local economy. Tourism is going to be an obvious thing for us because we have people that drive so far to see us. Our unique exhibit will attract visitors from the outside area, increasing new clientele, hotel stays, and other travel-related spending. We will create jobs as well. Our gallery will offer local artists an outlet to display and sell, create jobs for curators, DJs, event planners, catering, etc. And then neighborhood artistic revitalization. A gallery can be an anchor for a potential art district, inviting artists to studios and raising property values potentially for its cultural contribution. Okay, so I'm going to just read this from the TV. So about 1/3 of the U.S. about social and corporate acceptance of tattoo. So about 1/3 of U.S. adults now have a tattoo in the States. About 32% in 2023, up from 23% in 2010. The rise reflects a steady normalization of tattoos across generations. Adults under the age of 50, nearly half in the States are being reported as tattooed. So the meanings and motivations behind getting tattoos have shifted as well. Surveys find that many getting tattooed are to commemorate people and events or express beliefs. Often tattoos are in memoriam of a loved one or in celebration of a new baby. They mark wedding dates or celebrate markers of achievement and years of sobriety. And we'll talk about that later too with one of our public comments. Many tattoos today are done to represent someone's religious affiliation and something they find that deeply honors their connection to God. We do reconstruction tattoos, so after somebody has a mastectomy, we found it's a way that women can help reclaim the love of their own bodies. We have police and firefighters as well as the military are now fully allowed to have full sleeves in most places. And at Covenant Tattoo, we offer discounts to first responders in active, non-active, or veteran military. All right, so this is just one slide. We don't have to go through it in depth, but it just kind of shows you how many people in different businesses are getting these sort of tattoos. You can kind of see that the diversity in who our clientele has become is pretty widespread. And I've tattooed doctors, lawyers, teachers. I mean, the whole world's doing it. So that's what that's talking about. This was the plans that we had submitted early on. Now, obviously, everything that we submit would be under your discretion. We have willingness to submit and change to whatever is appropriate to preserve the quaintness of this town, and whatever other definitions you want to uphold, we're happy to kind of find a way to make that possible. And to the right, you'll obviously see that was our original drawing for what we believe, or schematic for what we believe the tattoo shop could look like. This was before the art gallery, so it's not a true representation, but I made this PowerPoint a year ago, so, or 6 months ago. All right, so Larry's already touched on that, so that basically concludes what I have to say. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
How many locations do you have?
Just the one currently. I mean, we'll be moving locations.
Yes, I had a question about that. So you're going to relocate your existing location?
Correct, yes.
Is there any reason you want to leave Charlotte?
Charlotte has become a pretty well-saturated market for tattooers. Not that that's an issue, but we just see that this is more of an untapped area. And I think that what we noticed when we came out here, once we were offered the building, was that we walked around and saw bartenders and barbers and all these people that were covered in tattoos, and I thought it was a shame that they had to leave their own town to go get tattoos somewhere else.
Is your present location in a walkable downtown area?
Currently, we are inside of a salon loft, and we are, we're based in a parking lot. It's walkable, but not in the way that we'd like to have it.
Okay. And I appreciate the letters of support that you've received in your presentation. I do feel like this presentation, it's all geared towards your tattoo shop, and I do point to one of the letters of support that you received from a gentleman with a string bean, and he said in his letter that he has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly so far as tattoo shops go. Does that sound
Sure, yeah.
familiar?
Mhm.
And I'll ask the easiest question of the night. I would assume that you would classify your shop as part of the good, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
But you do realize that, this is zoning, so if we permit this use, the use as a whole is allowed in the district, and so that would include the bad and the ugly with you. Is that, do you understand?
I understand. I think that was why we had the addition of the special use permit to kind of help clarify who was going to be welcomed after us. We also presented the possibility of restricted radius, but that was not approved by the zoning board.
Yes. And so I recall that.
Oh, you look at it.
Yes. Well, I'm just curious here. So let's say you're approved and you get an SCP, and I want to venture into your shop and get a sleeve.
Mhm.
Maybe
I'll pay for you.
I'll say the starting lineup of the 1989-90 Detroit Pistons NBA champions with Coach Chuck Daly. Can you just sort of walk me through how that process would work and what equipment you'd use?
Sure, yeah. We do everything, obviously, all of our equipment is going to be within our legal thing that we have to do. We're all licensed tattoo artists, and everything that we use is either disposable or completely sterilized, or just sterile products that we use for everything. So the process would be, you would meet up for a consultation. We sit down and have a long conversation with you about what your tattoo idea was and what we wanted to see done with that tattoo. And then we would set appointments and kind of go from there. But then once we send you out the door, you're wearing a sterile dressing. We walk you through the whole healing process. If there's complications, which we have rarely ever seen, we have steps to kind of take care of that as well. When we were inspected for our health inspection this last year, they had some members of the health staff that were training with the gentleman who was running the inspection, and he told them that we were doing too much for cleanliness.
Well, I guess that's a good problem.
That's right.
And how does the needle? How does the needle work? I'm not.
It hurts. Is that what you want to know?
What's that?
So it hurts. Is that what you want to know? It's not a pleasant feeling.
Okay.
For some, maybe.
Probably not for me. But would you describe the process as quaint?
Well, I described, yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of tender moments that we have with people. I think there is now a lot more attraction for fine line tattooing, which could only be described as quaint because it is small needles and it is small work and it is something that you can hide away. My parents both have small quaint tattoos on their inner biceps where they've got, and which are their initials, Mark and Melissa. So yes, I think so.
Are you only by appointment or are you walk-in or both?
We have been open to both.
Okay. And do you do body piercing as well as tattoos? I couldn't tell from your.
We just brought on a piercer, so that would be a new thing for us.
So let's say I wanted to surprise my wife and get a piercing. What body parts do you pierce?
So currently we're only trained for ears and face right now.
Okay. All right. And how will that process work? Just.
I'm not a piercer. I'm not exactly sure. I have to default that to my piercer.
All right. All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone else have any questions?
No, I just have a new Christmas idea for you.
All right. Very good. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you, and we will head on into the remainder of public comment here. So what are our rules? We can get our rules up here. Yes. All right, we'll take a 5-minute break if that's okay, and then we'll get public comment going. So we stand in recess for 5 minutes while we, there it is. Come back at 7:35. our clerk is timing it. I understand that there will be a beep when there is 1 minute left, and then a lot of beeps when your time is up. Please give your name and address. I understand, there's a lot of people signed up. We're very passionate about things in this community. Let's all please be respectful of each other in our comments. And there we go. So I'll call your name, and you have 3 minutes. First speaker is Robert Stowe.
Good evening. I am Robert Stowe. I live at 135 North Main Street here in Belmont. I'm here representing my wife and also the trustees of the Ruth Harding Stowe Living Trust. We are asking tonight that you reject this proposal. Belmont is a unique, downtown is a unique area. It not only has businesses, but it also has residences. And we have, although there are 2 people speaking against this tonight, we have, everybody will raise their hand who's a property owner here who is against this proposal. So it is because of that uniqueness and because of Belmont's walkability, and the tattoo shop that's proposed here is a good, but then of course you have the rest of them, the possibilities. Once you open this up, it's almost like a Pandora's box. So we do ask that you reject this proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jonathan Taylor.
Good evening, Jonathan Taylor, 25 North Main Street. City Council, I know y'all have a tough job, so thank you for your service. I've lived in historic downtown for over 30 years, and I currently manage about 8 business units in the historic district. I've been blessed that I've never really had a vacancy for 6 months or longer, and that's no accident. And we spent the first hour tonight, or y'all did, interviewing applicants for the Main Street Committee. And that award that Belmont has won twice has also been no accident. And that goes back to the Second Century Committee and some of the things property owners started in the late 90s. And for our efforts, we've been awarded the the Main Street USA Award twice from Raleigh. And I've been involved with those committees. I was on the most recent as the chairman of the board and also the charter chairman of the Downtown Belmont Development Association. And you've heard a lot of words like walkability and quaint, and through the years, the stakeholders and property owners have tried to uphold standards for that, and the conditional land use code has helped support that, and we've won awards because of that. And I'm obviously speaking against the ordinance, but all due respect to Tucker and Covenant Tattoo, I'm flattered you like downtown. I love it too, but I think in keeping with the quaintness that we talked about, that this proposal should be declined. And one last thing, my great-grandmother, Melva Gullick, was the first barista in downtown Belmont at the old Hotel Belmont. And great-grandmother Melva had a saying, if it ain't broke, don't change it. So please consider sticking with our existing land development code. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Deborah Taylor.
Good evening, my name is Deborah Taylor. I live at 205 South Main Street here in Belmont. My husband Kurt and I have been here for 6 years, and we found a little spot on Main Street and built a house. we fell in love with it. We have been nothing but excited to be here, having come from Charlotte with maybe 4 years between us having lived there. I agree that the way we are made up here with homes and businesses is just not a good fit. And I would ask that because of that, you just not even consider this. There are still stigmas attached, and I think that there's a lot of folks who feel really good about having a tattoo. That's great. I'm not one of them. So I would ask that you turn this down. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Eileen Embledge.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eileen Forrester Embledge, and I live at 713 South Main Street. And I want to talk about something that's often misunderstood, as we're seeing, and yet has the potential to bring creativity, community, and commerce to our small town. Tattoo shops. Now, some people may hear tattoo shops and think of something edgy or controversial, but if we look a little deeper, it's not. These shops are more than places for just ink. They're hubs for artistry, self-expression, small business growth, and community building. Tattoo artists are real artists, period. Their canvas is just different. These professionals train for years, mastering everything from freehand sketching, color theory, sterilization, and customer care. Most tattoo shops are independently owned businesses, which mean local revenue, local taxes, and local jobs. A well-run tattoo studio like this can attract clients from nearby towns and even out of state. That brings more foot traffic to nearby shops, restaurants, and bars, spending that supports a whole community, like people that own businesses downtown. In a time when small towns are looking for a way to stay alive and thrive, we can't afford to throw legitimate businesses away. Today, people from all walks of life wear tattoos that represent their stories, cultures, and beliefs. They're not just places to get tattooed. They become a cultural heartbeat of a town. Every small town needs something to make it stand out. Why not embrace the creative industry that brings people together, celebrates stories, and turns art into legacy? Tattooing is one of the oldest human art forms. It spans cultures, continents, and generations. And a tattoo shop in our town would not tarnish our image. It would expand it. So I ask you to look past the outdated perceptions and see the bigger picture. A tattoo shop isn't just a business. It's a studio, a storybook, a safe place, and a statement to our town that we support art in all forms. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Aaron Russell.
Russell, 23 Circle Drive, for the last 29 years. I live adjacent to an NCC zoning district. First thing I want to say is there has been, quote, information circulating alleging that this request is part of a broader LGBTQ agenda for Belmont. This is an embarrassment. I am not part of that. I don't condone that kind of politics. So I want to be very clear that my statement is not based on anything to do with what has circulated around the community. I support a diverse Belmont. That said, I object to the petition for two process reasons. Each land use should be decided independently. The proposal, as amended by staff input and the Planning and Zoning Board, creates a contrivance. Requiring a buffer business suggests an effort to mask the primary use, and we should be voting thumbs up or thumbs down on uses. In particular, in this case, who's gonna man the retail shop if you have a needle in your hand that you're poking into somebody's body? I mean, I think you really need to say, do we want tattoo shops or do we not? Secondly, in accordance with the code, and as was stated, the purpose is not to relieve a particular hardship, nor to confer special privileges or rights on any one person. I feel like that in this particular case, there's been a strong intermingling of the specific with what should be general. Consideration of a new use should be made on a broad view of that particular use, its benefits, and its concerns. In this case, those were really wonderful slides. That looks really good, but coming back to what I feel should be the decision, which is what you'll be charged with, is about the general applicability of how we want our land use plan to grow over time. This is a text amendment, and it should be really just relevant to the code itself. Not all of the other things that I feel at this point are almost a little bit hard to separate out. So, while being open to new things, trying to grow, I might not have a tattoo, but my mom has one. My sister has one. She has her father's love dad on her arm. I would love to see us look at this independently, not in the context of a mixed use percentage zoning. So it's for that reason that I recommend to the board that they consider starting anew with an individual use decision.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Stan Allison.
My name's Stan Allison, and I live on 316 North Main Street. I've lived in Belmont for 36 years. And when we first moved to Belmont, it was a little bit of a leap for us. And some of you all may or may not remember back then, if you wanted to buy beer, you went across the river and you pulled up next to a cinder block building, opened the window, and the guy handed you your Budweiser, and you turned around and went back. And I told my wife, I said, this is going to be like Days in one day. It's going to be better than Days. And lo and behold, turn the clock forward, and we're not like Davidson, but we're like Belmont, in its much higher form. I think as Jonathan pointed out, there have been a lot of people who spent a lot of time and effort with downtown, and this has been going on for a lot of years. And I may have missed it, but Jonathan didn't mention, Good Morning America being down here a month or so ago. I just, cutting to the issues, I think Aaron put it very well. This is kind of a mishmash jumble, and I keep hearing the comments, well, just approve this and everything will get sorted out during the use process. Well, I don't think that's the purpose of a use process, is to go through and figure out what's quaint, what's functional, what percentage of a store can be in this use versus that use. And we haven't even talked about the fact that, what happens, I think it was raised earlier, who's going to monitor that use? What happens if, 6 months down the road, it's 100%, tattoo? Are they going to go, is the city going to go kick them out or find the heck out of them? We don't know that. So I do think it's right. You go back to the drawing board. A lot of time was put into this whole, ordinance, and a lot of people had input, and I don't think it was, we owe it to them and the council that approved to do an end rental like this in this kind of manner. So to turn thumbs down on this request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Michelle Lasardo.
Good evening, Council. My name is Michelle Lasardo, and I live at 808 Catawba Street. I also am the co-owner of a small 2-in-1 downtown business, Belmont Yoga and The Joint. I'm speaking today in support of Covenant Tattoo opening up their studio in downtown Belmont in the space attached to Jekyll and Hyde. I've had the privilege of getting to know the owner, Tucker, and his team over the last couple of months, and have honestly never met a group of people more eager, excited, and ready to be part of our community. As someone who has been getting tattooed for the last decade, I can say with confidence that Covenant is the real deal. They have high-quality professional artists doing great tattoos and a welcoming approach so that everyone feels comfortable, whether it's their first tattoo or 20th. They also plan to have a big part of their shop as an art gallery, welcoming even more people inside. I meet a lot of people who walk through the doors of my businesses, and I can tell you, tattoos are for everyone. We have 21-year-olds, we have 75-year-olds, and everyone in between sporting ink. Now, can I get a show of hands of who does have a tattoo or supports others having them in the room? Okay, thank you. There is not a single demographic that doesn't enjoy getting or admiring tattoos. Tattoos have actually been around for hundreds of years. While I understand the Main Street Board had opposition to tattoo shops downtown, it's worth noting that nobody on the Main Street Board actually has a business on Main Street, and therefore don't represent many of us with businesses downtown who are in support. And to those in this room or elsewhere who oppose tattoos, I have a very, very easy solution for you. Don't get a tattoo. Not every business needs to cater to every single resident to be successful in a small town. Our downtown area is in need of more for residents and visitors. We need to do everything we can to keep businesses in Belmont and bring new ones in so that residents don't have to leave the city and all of our small businesses thrive in shared community. Keeping our dollars in Belmont benefits everyone. The space Covenant would be going into currently does not have a tenant, nor is the space being advertised for rent to anyone else, so it makes sense to have that space be used for the community's benefit. It's also on the back side of the building, not Main Street facing, so honestly, what is the harm? Covenant opening here would truly elevate our downtown. I've seen their team going above and beyond to try to be here in the last few months. It's honestly pretty awesome to see a small business doing everything they can to be a part of our little town. They deserve a chance to show Belmont what they can offer. Our downtown area is becoming more attractive to outside residents because of our diversity, not because of our lack of change and evolution. So please consider the extraordinary benefit this simple, outdated text change will provide for a small business looking to connect with our community and add to our downtown. Any downtown area should be a reflection of all the residents' interests and not just a select few who are not in favor of something new or different. Our business owners and residents have spoken through a petition, handwritten letters, and a lot of social media excitement. The message is very clear. Belmont is ready for Covenant Tattoo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alex Ramsey. Alex Ramsey? Yeah.
Hey, I'm Alex Ramsey, 4702 Ambridge Drive, Charlotte, North Carolina. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all here today, and I'm speaking in support of this tattoo shop and amendment change. I've known Tucker for over 10 years. I've seen the growth from him starting out as a tattoo artist to now becoming a shop owner and building his community. As you can see, I've been tattooed multiple times by Tucker and Haven. I've been going to Covenant for over 3 years. He's a committed tattoo artist and phenomenal at building a community. In addition, both artists have become a close part of my life. Haven's mom is actually now my wedding planner, and Covenant artists also plan on tattooing at my wedding to further memorialize that special day for my fiance, myself, and my family. I have my kids' names and birthdays tattooed on my chest. I've been sober for 5 years, and Tucker tattooed the words "forged" on my knuckles to remind myself of my personal journey and persistence. In addition, Covenant also supports my brother's charity cancer fund It's a fund that's managed by the Novant Health Foundation in Charlotte and has helped families for 20 years that have faced the financial burdens of pediatric cancer. So far, we've raised close to $1 million, and if this gets approved, we'd love to use this space as a pop-up flash event to continue to raise money for that cancer fund. Also, excuse me, this is where it's hard to say. Tattooism is a real thing. Many people find their next artist via work on social media, Instagram, and travel to get a new piece. One of my most recent tattoos, which you can't see, was a cherub angel on my left leg, which I got in Rome to commemorate my engagement with my fiancée, Rose. I found the artist on Instagram and went to them for this tattoo. It's a pretty long tattoo, so you definitely want to find like a nice, quaint place to walk around, get food, pizza, fresh air as you go through your full session. And as a tattoo enthusiast, I actually prefer finding locations like this for my tattoo that I know are friendly versus the side of a highway. So I personally strongly believe that Covenant would be an amazing addition to downtown Belmont and would be fantastic at furthering the community that y'all already have here. Thank you for letting me speak. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jordan Hinkle.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Hinkle. I live at 1720 Arnold Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. Is this good?
Yeah, please speak up.
I'm a tattoo artist at Covenant. We're here tonight because we really want to be a part of this community. We've been coming here for a long time, since we were at UNCC, just to hang out. It's a great place. We see a lot of potential here to bring what we do, put smiles on people's faces. And not just as a business, we want to be good neighbors. We're good people that care about making a difference. A big part of our job is seeing somebody smile, feel better about themselves when they leave. That's very important to us. We want to welcome everybody. We want people to come together, share artistry. It's not just about tattoos, it's about art. It's about feeling good. To me, tattoos have always been more than just the art. They've helped me feel better about myself. That's kind of something I really get out of tattooing people, is I know that the reasons are pretty vast between everyone. Whether it's a memorial, a personal milestone that you've achieved. Some people just really like to do that for themselves as a reminder, and I think that's really cool. Everyone walks out with a smile, and not everybody comes in with a smile because they know it's going to hurt, but they're still there, and I can tell, like, there's been a couple people I can tell, like, they hadn't smiled in weeks, and this is something that they thought maybe this is like a last-ditch effort for me to feel good about something. And you see that smile on their face, and it's like, we all made the right decision here. This has been my dream since I was a kid. I don't know a lot of people that can say that they're actually living what they've always wanted to do. And this is super important to us, and it's incredibly important to me. And, the only thing I've ever wanted to do besides tattooing was be a fly fishing guide, and here I am. So I think I definitely made the right choice on that, because then we'll go fishing if you guys get a day off, Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say, guys. I think I've run out of space there. Thank you for your time and your consideration this evening, and thanks to everybody that showed up for us. Really appreciate it. And, thank you, guys.
Thank you. The next speaker is Haven Graper.
Hi, I'm Haven. I live on 131 Eagle Mountain Drive in Dallas. My family is actually from Belmont, so I'm kind of a local. I'm an artist and tattooer at Covenant, and fine art has always been at the center of what I do my whole life. It's not just my career, but it has been the main way that I make friends. My whole social life is surrounded by art, and most of the people that I know and love are because of that. My whole life, I've taken it upon myself to seek out those artistic communities wherever I could find them. So it would mean a whole lot to me to now be a part of the start of building one here. especially because I'm a local. And I truly believe that Belmont has the potential to become a strong art-focused community, not just to support business, but to bring people together through creativity. And I'd love to contribute to that vision in any way that I can, whether that's through public art events or helping create spaces that connect artists and residents like I know Covenant Tattoo would and does. Thank you for your time and supporting the arts in Belmont.
Thank you. The next speaker is Frank Lafragola.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Lafragola Jr. My location is 10 East Catawba Street in Belmont, North Carolina. I am currently the owner-operator of Jekyll and Hyde Tap House and Grill, as well as the building owner. I am here as an advocate for Mr. Tucker Sword and Covenant Tattoo. I believe bringing a tattoo shop would provide a convenience to people in the community. Tattoos were once seen as a taboo, hence why they were always permitted in less desirable areas or industrial places. Moving forward, tattoos are no longer seen as a taboo. The negative perception is now has been removed. I believe tattoos provide an artistic expression for people to show off. They also mark a significant time in people's lives. I personally have tattoos on myself. These tattoos represent significant times in my life, as well as a time to remember people in my family that have passed. As far as bringing the tattoo shop downtown, I believe it is a positive experience. I know people were talking about the quaintness of downtown. By you allowing this business, by allowing a tattoo shop to come downtown, I think it does have a positive impact on the community. One, it provides a safe place and a convenient place for people to get tattoos, but also for local artists, not only do they have a place to showcase their artwork, but people in the community have a local area to view local and upcoming artists. And as far as the quaintness is concerned, one of the things that was brought to my attention was, do I want a tattoo shop in my building? You know, I've been approached by many people as far as what type of business to put there. And I did select Mr. Sword. I selected him because I've known Mr. Sword for quite a few years. He has worked for me in the past. He has great character. But as far as an artist, he's a great artist. He's actually created some logos for my company. As you've heard, he's actually created artwork on the outside of my building. I think by providing this opportunity for these artists to come to the building, as well as for other people to view the artwork in the community, I think it would be a great thing for the downtown area of Belmont. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Melissa Sword.
Hi, my name is Melissa Sword. I'm in 9104 Kingsmead Lane in Waxhaw. I am Tucker's mom, and I thank you for considering him coming to Belmont. He has been so excited about Belmont and bringing his business here. Tucker has always been artistic. He was his artist when he went to Butler High School. He was the Artist of the Year. Upon graduation, he went to UNCC for fine art. He was president of his class when he was in school. He's always been in theater. He's been active in community. He did puppet shows and stuff in church. He has traveled for missions all over the world, and he has an incredible character. You never think your son's going to grow up and be a tattoo artist. But COVID kind of pushed him in that direction more so because he was doing his art everywhere. So much so that I landed in Charlotte Airport and opened up a magazine, and Tucker was featured in there as his murals are all over downtown Charlotte. So he has beautiful art, and he likes to surround himself with community and good people, and he's very caring, and he's always been outgoing, and he has a great business acuity, and I'm excited for him to come here. I feel like I'm in a Footloose movie. Like, you know, people are, we don't want to do the dancing, and we do want to do the dancing, or not have this in our city. And I think it's like, honestly, I've lived in Florida for some time in Boca Raton. It is so much money, and it's absolutely beautiful, and they have local tattoos, artist shops right downtown. It's one of the richest places to live in America, and they're right there, and it's quaint. You go to Asheville, they have beautiful places that have tattoos, and the same with downtown Charlotte. So, I mean, I don't see where there's not a quaintness to it. You can make it what you want it to be, and I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to be part of a community. He's going to have a beautiful shop, beautiful art. He's going to do lots of stuff with the community because that's the kind of person he is, and he always has been. So I really, really do recommend that you think about it. I get it. I understand people's differences, opinions, but I think that he would bring something really lovely to this place and the people that he has. I do have a tattoo that Tucker put on me, and it does hurt, if you've asked about that. It does hurt, and I don't like how much it hurts, to be honest. But it's just Eminem. My husband are Mark and Melissa, and we got it for our 30th anniversary, and Tucker did do it, and I wanted Tucker to do that because I want to have something my son did. I also want to say that Tucker has guest sat in Berlin, and Amsterdam, and Paris. I mean, and he's brought people here from those places to guest set in his studio. So I think that would be very unique. So I will continue to pray for you guys. Tucker loves the Lord. I know he'll do a good job. I know that God has his hand. That's 1 minute left. I'm done.
You can finish
Thank
it.
you. No, we're praying for God's will for him. So thank you so much, everybody in Belmont. We appreciate it.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mark Sword.
Yes. Good evening, I'm Mark Sword. I am Tucker's father. I live at 9104 Kingsmead Lane in Waxhaw. And like his mother, I'm also very, very proud of him, not just for his artistic abilities that he's been doing since he was drawing since he was 2 years old, but his entrepreneurship. And I noticed one of the things on the bottom of the sheet of paper y'all were talking about, it talks about Belmont, is you want a place to be entrepreneurial. And that's exactly what he is. He wants to bring that small business mindset that he has to Belmont and continue to grow and develop his business here in this city, in this town, and make it be more cultural, bring the culture to continue to bring that culture to the city. So we are very proud of him, and I'll tell you that growing up, I didn't think I'd ever have a tattoo either. In fact, I was dead set against them. And then my mind slowly changed over time, and now I not only have one, but I have 2 tattoos, and I'm looking forward to getting many, many more from my son. Hopefully I'll get them done here in Belmont. That would be my dream, because the reality is, and you've heard many people already say tonight, not just the mindset has changed over time. Now it's doctors, lawyers. I'm in the insurance business. I've been in the insurance business for 36 years. When I go to my home office down in Columbia, South Carolina, I walk in the door there, we got 1,000 people that work there, and I would tell you that probably at least 50% of them have tattoos. In the insurance business, would never have thought that. So here to support Tucker and Covenant Tattoos, and I hope that you guys make a decision and say yes to it. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
That concludes the live portion of public comment. We have one additional public comment from an individual who sent an email to council and requested that it be read into the record because she could not be here tonight, and so I will now read it into the record. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to provide feedback on the proposed text amendment that would allow tattoo and piercing studios in the downtown district. After reviewing the request, I would like to share some concerns about introducing this use into the heart of our small and unique downtown, and how this use may not align with the character and direction of our downtown. I hear from people daily who want to move to Belmont, and specifically love our downtown because of its unique shops, specialty restaurants, retail shops, beauty shops, and parks. And all of this relates to the walkability of our downtown and how safe it feels today. All of these current shops are highly successful because they blend a common goal of a family atmosphere in a safe environment. Downtown has grown into a welcoming, family-friendly destination with restaurants, boutiques, a bookstore, and a candy store geared toward children. Visitors are drawn here because of that mix, and it has helped define Belmont's unique small-town charm. As new businesses are considered, it seems important that they complement what is already in place and build on that identity, rather than create a contrast that feels out of step. Tattoo and piercing studios, while certainly a legitimate business type, may be a better fit in other commercial areas such as Wilkinson Boulevard, where the environment already supports a broader range of uses. Placing them there could help these businesses succeed without raising concerns about how they align with the historic and family-oriented character of our downtown. While regulations around lighting, hours, or visibility could address some concerns, they may not fully resolve the bigger question of whether this use enhances the downtown experience for residents, families, and visitors. It also risks reducing property values if prospective tenants or owners view the area as inconsistent with its established and refined image. I believe downtown is strongest when new business additions complement the existing mix of shops and attractions. Focusing on uses that reinforce the established character rather than pull away from it will preserve the momentum Belmont has built. While this type of business does have a place in Belmont, downtown is not the right location. Maintaining a business mix that complements and strengthens the existing character should remain the top priority. Thank you for considering my perspective, Wendy Hostetler. So she asked that that be read into the record. And with that, public comment is concluded. If there are any last questions, if there are none, I would entertain a motion to come out of the public hearing. Motion by Charlie, seconded by Catherine. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are now out of public hearing, which brings us to item C5, consider an ordinance to approve TA 2025-03 to permit tattoo shops and piercing establishments in the NCC zoning district subject to an SUP. So that's the agenda item discussion.
Yeah, I can kick this off. One, I just want to make it clear, just kind of clear the air. It's not banned in all Belmont, right? I mean, it's got a place, highway commercial, particularly off 74. So if someone wanted to get a tattoo in Belmont, they still could, right? Just not today in the Main Street. And I want to reference to our Main Street program, or our community development program. These folks are appointed folks by us to this board to enhance our experiences in downtown Belmont, but they're also tasked with historic preservation, but recruiting new businesses. And our volunteer board, who spend countless of hours, a vast majority of them come back to us or provide this information to us and make a vote on it to say that they do not support this because of the fact that it doesn't contribute to what is existingly what we consider our small town charm. And I, for one, kind of agree and do agree with that as well. We'll be voting no to this. So I'll start off the conversation.
Any other discussion?
Okay. I'll just start by saying that I can appreciate both sides of the discussion and all the viewpoints that were expressed here tonight. I'm not opposed to tattoos. Certainly don't dispute the fact that tattoo artists are indeed artists, and I can appreciate that. But I do not feel that it blends with, as was stated earlier tonight, a family-centric downtown. I was surprised to learn that there's no age restriction per North Carolina statute for these types of businesses, but be that as it may, I don't feel that it blends well with our existing or future contemplated businesses downtown. And to our Mayor Pro Tem's point, I certainly don't associate quaint downtowns with tattoos or piercing parlors. And I think we've also received an overwhelming response, both publicly and privately, a lot of us have, opposing this application. And, like Alex said, there's certainly availability for this service in other parts of town. And so for these reasons, I would not be in favor of this application.
Any other comments?
I'll keep it short and sweet. I've got tattoos don't have any issues with, like Jason said, it's certainly artistry, no doubt about it, but I heard one public speaker say it would bring culture. We have culture already in Belmont. That's outlined in the LDC already, so I'm definitely against bringing a tattoo parlor into downtown Belmont. Highway commercial have at it, but not in downtown Belmont.
I'll just piggyback off of everybody else. This has nothing to do with Tucker. I think your work, I think that what you presented was great. You know, if we were voting solely on Tucker and Covenant, I would be a yeah. I mean, I have no problem with tattoos either, but because we're changing our NCC zoning, that's where I have a problem, because not every tattoo shop is gonna be a Covenant. Not every tattoo shop is gonna be a Tucker. Or a, who was it that I enjoyed listening to? Fly Fisher, Jordan. Yeah, like not everybody's gonna be a Jordan or a Tucker. And that's what stinks about this whole thing, is because we're having to rezone for as many tattoo shops that wanna come into this district. We have daycares that are in downtown Belmont. It's like he said, would a tattoo shop wanna be in a daycare? Who knows in this world, right? So we can't do for one and not do for all. And so for that reason, that's why I would be a no to the changes, because of the rezoning, not because of Covenant or the people that don't.
All right, thank you. I would agree. I think we've sort of, throughout this, maybe lost sight of what's at hand. I will stipulate that Tucker is wonderful. I will stipulate that Covenant is a high-end tattoo shop, but as much as so many of the comments are about how great this shop is and how wonderful Tucker is, and we know Tucker, but when we don't zone by this particular shop. We zone, if we were to allow it, then all such shops and uses would be allowed within the neighborhood commercial district. And while this particular shop might be a very high-end shop, as was acknowledged, when it comes to tattoo shops, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the bad and the ugly would be allowed too. Now, I understand that the proposal is to make it subject to a special use permit, but we've struggled with special use permits, and even then, we've talked about the subjectivity of so many of these passages in the code and so many of the findings that you need for a special use permit. What is functional compatibility? What is quaint? What are the Main Street characteristics of downtown? And I think we've focused a lot on the visual compatibility. What will the lighting look like? What will the shop front look like? But that's not the only question. You also have to focus on the actual use, the functional compatibility, and that's where I struggle with seeing how this fits into the character of Main Street. We also have current statutes regarding downzoning, that if we were to make a change, this would be an allowed use anywhere in the neighborhood center commercial. Yes, subject to an SUP, but once you allow a use, according to state statutes, it's very hard to then subsequently remove that use if we've decided you've made a mistake. And so I think it's better to stay the course. Tattoo shops are allowed in Belmont. They're allowed in the highway commercial district. I don't think they're a good fit for neighborhood center commercial. And I certainly think I appreciate Ms. Russell's comments about sort of the illogic of the mixed use of the retail up front, and I think we pointed out some of the absurdities that would be permitted under the code, under the language of the code, if this amendment were allowed. And so for all those reasons, I also would be against this text amendment. So with all of that said, I would entertain a motion.
Motion for
To
deny.
Okay. Motion to, is that appropriate? Yep. Okay, motion to deny the text amendment made by Catherine, seconded by Charlie. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, it is, and now it is denied. We also need consistency findings. So based on that vote, I need a motion that the proposed text amendment is not a reasonable request and not in the public interest, and not consistent with the goals of the comprehensive land use plan and land use. Is that me? Jason? Second. Motion by Jason, seconded by Alex. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. It's not. Thank you, everyone. Moving on then
Narrow-minded discrimination. Narrow-minded discrimination. You all should be ashamed.
Way to go.
We will wait for the audience to clear, but public comment for this item is over, and we'll move on with the agenda.
It's like a run from Belmont.
Just let's be on the up and up. Your decision's been made. Let's allow people to exit the building, and then we'll move on with the remainder of the agenda. All right, next up we have item C6, public hearing on the city's intent to permanently close an unopened 15-foot alley off McLeod Avenue. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
Motion to go into public hearing.
Motion by Alex, seconded by Catherine. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are now in public hearing, and we'll recognize Planning Director Tiffany Farrow to present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. This item is a public hearing for a proposed closure of an alley located on the northern side of McLeod Avenue. The details, the applicant for this one is actually our planning department here, and we will go over some reasoning for that in a little bit. But the proposed location is, as I just stated, on McLeod Avenue near the Main Street and McLeod intersection. And for some context reference, it aligns with the alley that's also located on the south side, which is directly behind NC Budo, that is active and being used for access purposes. The application is specifically for the portion of the alley located on the northern portion of the right-of-way. The length of the alley that's proposed for closure is approximately 70 feet, and the total area is approximately 1,450 square feet. So it is not a significant portion of area, but the intent behind this request is to allow for an uninterrupted frontage improvement condition along McLeod Avenue as new development comes online. And so just to show some relevant imagery here as to the context of the location that we're talking about, you can see on the screen, the image on the left shows the proposed alley, and I apologize, the boundary is a little bit hard to see because the floodplain color of blue is going over it, but that black arrow there is the eastern portion of the alley boundary, and then about 15 feet over from that is the western portion of that boundary. You can see not only is the majority of the proposed alley for abandonment located within the floodplain, but there's also a challenge topographically with ever utilizing that alley because of the drop that you see there. There's about a 10-foot drop from street level further down into the alley when you go to the 70-foot limitation of that. The alley is currently surrounded by two directly adjacent parcels. That is one located at 37 South Main Street, and another one that is a freestanding parcel but was formerly part of the Imperial Mills proposed development project that has now been withdrawn, but that very well potentially could be petitioned for redevelopment in the future. And so with that being said, we have received some interest in the parcel at 37 South Main. That property, for clarity, has no need for this alley to be abandoned, but it brought it to staff's attention when we received the survey as something that might be worth looking into, understanding that when that property is developed one day and makes frontage improvements, the one directly adjacent would typically, if the alley was not there, be asked to extend frontage improvements along its frontage, and that's how we see continual ones. Absent of abandonment of this alley, we would see a gap. So that red line there, you'd see an approximate 15-foot gap in curb and gutter, sidewalk,
street trees and other types of improvements that would typically be installed along frontage as the property gets developed. So with that, we wanted to bring this to your attention and schedule a public hearing and see if there was interest from the public and council for formally abandoning this segment of the alley in order to allow for that to be upgraded, not necessarily right now, but in the future as things are proposed. And just for some context for the survey, what we're talking about is specifically the area as shown on the screen and highlighted in that orange color, again, just on the northern side of McLeod. So there are some required procedures that we must follow for the city to consider abandoning any portion of right-of-way or alley within our jurisdiction. City Council adopted a resolution declaring their intent to close on September 2nd at your City Council meeting. And then public notice was provided as required, which included certified mail notices to the adjacent property owners, a posting in the newspaper for 4 consecutive weeks, and 2 signs posted on the subject location of the alley on site. Tonight, we're asking that you conduct a public hearing to determine if the closure would be detrimental to public interest or deprive access to property in the nearby vicinity, and ultimately to make a decision on whether or not you would like to adopt an order to close the subject alley. And with that, I stand by for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Tiffany? Just out of curiosity, I mean, is there any actual proposal to develop 37 South Main, or is it just in the formative?
We have received a development application on that is currently proposing a by right option.
Okay. And that's neither here nor there for this, but I was just curious.
That's correct. I do want to make sure that that was clear because typically when you would see these come through, there could be a property owner or a developer that needs a portion of that land in order to benefit their proposed development project. In this case, the application as it currently sits does not require any additional land in order to allow for its development. This is solely at the intent of planning in order to allow for continual frontage along the street itself.
37 is the corner parcel there?
That's correct.
Yeah. Jim, if you were
Oh, I'm done.
So I noticed in your recommendation that if the adjacent property owners have the issue, they'll obviously have opportunity to hear from them.
Yes,
At
that's
the
right.
public hearing. I mean, do you anticipate any adverse effects to the adjacent property owners?
None are anticipated, that's why staff's bringing this for your consideration, but that being said, I don't always have the knowledge, and so if there is any, we would stand open to that discussion. We just wanted to make sure that we provided you the opportunity to discuss that proposal.
Any additional questions? All right, there is no one signed up for public comment.
Okay.
So if there is nothing further, then I entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
Motion to come out of public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Alex, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are out of public hearing. That brings us to item C7, consider an ordinance to permanently close an unopened 15-foot alley off McLeod Avenue. Any discussion on this item? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the closure.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Jason. We'll wait until Catherine comes back.
See this right there, Jim, you mentioned, is it this particular property on the corner, is it potential?
All right, so Catherine, we have had the public hearing on this closure of the alley, and there is no public comment. Charlie has made a motion to approve the ordinance closing the alley. Jason seconded it, and we are up for a vote, so.
And I've read thoroughly through my book, so I already know what my vote.
Oh, okay, well, good.
So,
All
all
right.
in favor, let's get it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And this is not an actual amendment or rezone to the land development code, so we do not need consistency findings. So, thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
You had the easy end of the
That's
stick.
right, thank
Yes.
you.
All right, let's see, reports, there are never any reports these days. That leads us to other business. Jason, why don't we start with you?
Okay. I only had a couple of items. So, really just wanted to send thank you out to Jonathan and his staff for all the work you guys have been doing at Stowe Park, and a lot of our parks around town. Things are really looking great. We appreciate all your efforts. And then the only other thing was just a reminder of the Belmont Sports Hall of Fame banquet coming up on the 28th at 6:30 at Park Street United Methodist. So you guys are all invited. We have a table for City Council, City Manager. So
Thank you. Kathy. Charlie.
Just one thing, I've had a few people tell me that the parking lot that we constructed beside the police department.
Chronicle.
Yeah, the public parking lot. There's people that don't realize that that's a public parking lot. So maybe perhaps we put up a sign that says public parking. I think with some of the police cars that are parked in the back corner of that parking lot, I think most people think it's an auxiliary parking lot for the police station. So perhaps maybe just put up a sign that says it's public parking, so that we could get some use out of that thing. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alex.
Just a few things. This was brought up to my attention by Oscar, and I believe Jim's going to bring it up as well because he's spoken to him as well. It seems like there may be some parking issues in Reed, particularly around the park on game days. Is there anything we can do to try to enforce that? I've heard of some instances where essentially people are kind of trapped into their own house, they can't even kind of get out. So just wanted to kind of highlight that that's kind of an existing issue that we just want to double check. Miles, I'm not sure if you want to comment on that, but just take that as.
I'll take it as I'll look into it.
Okay, okay. Secondly, thanks to everyone who came out for Keep Belmont Beautiful. I think that was a pretty successful, sorry to steal your time.
No, I'm glad you did.
But
It was an oversight.
it was pretty successful, and again, really appreciate all of our staff that come out and represent the city to do that. You guys generally get stuck with the hardest streets, so we definitely appreciate that.
And the interstate.
Yeah. And then finally, I would like to potentially talk about Pebble Creek. I don't believe this is going to get resolved by an application being filed. Just like we talked about last year, I thought we were going to kind of try to come up to some type of resolution. I know the police will be down there, and I think that's great. However, there is no HOA. There is no singular organization that can pay for this. A couple years ago, someone actually paid privately the entire fee. I believe he's sitting about there. So in my mind, I continue to think that this is our responsibility to take care of the area, because they're not going to organize, right? So this becomes an issue, it seems like, ever since I've been on council. So I'm just curious what we can do with this. And Jim, you have more historical kind of context to this than I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of just the advent of the special use permit that sort of led to it, because I think prior to our sort of reshuffling of the procedures, we just dropped off barricades, and that is something that I think the current administration has said they're not keen to do with the insurance risks and everything, and so it's been a conundrum now for going on 3 years.
Well, last year they did put in an application. Like I said, the police department still went out there. To my knowledge, there was no incidents or anything. We continue to patrol the areas. I think that every neighborhood just about in Belmont has trick-or-treaters, and they're all over the street. So to close one down and not close all of them down, that's where I kind of push back a little bit. So there's a special event application that you have to go through. There's fees associated with our staff to take out barricades and place barricades, and then monitor them and then remove them, and that process too. So I've stood by that that's what I would like to do. I understand Pebble Creek's different because they don't have an HOA. And if Chief Falls was to come up and say, you know, what the experience was like last year, no application.
Is it the fee that's holding them back?
Well, there's a fee, there's a special application fee, and then if they want to have barricades inside our fee schedule, there's costs associated with like our.
Because you're saying there's not barricades.
Well, there's no organization in place to even initiate the process.
Right, somebody. It doesn't have to be anybody in the neighborhood.
It could, but then.
But it's a couple
an
hundred
issue of
dollars.
equity.
That's what I'm saying, is it a fee issue? Is it a money issue?
Yeah, there's a money issue, then there's the policy ordinance issue that I abide by that. If there's a fee, I don't like waive fees or anything. It's up to council, if y'all want to like waive a fee for us to deliver barricades, that's a possibility as well. But Chief was there last year when they did file the application and responded, and had his staff there, so what did Chief?
I was actually personally, myself and Assistant Chief Pullen, along with 2 other officers, we actually came in and actually worked Halloween specifically because of all the stuff that's went on for the last couple of years. We did have a couple of people from a residence place their vehicles in the roadway, and we respectfully had them move their vehicles. They were very nice. We explained the process to them. They were not privy to the process. The applicant that we spoke to last year never did put in an application because of the fees, and also because if we're gonna shut a road down in Belmont in the city limits, and we're gonna actually shut it down with barricades, there's a need, I feel, there's a need for the police to be there to make sure that everything goes well. Mainly because if you shut a road down and then there's someone who wants to go in their vehicle into their own neighborhood, you may have a controversy on who's actually over it or not over it as to whether they can enter the road because it was been shut off. So we didn't want a situation to occur. So we felt like there was a necessity for officers to be there, plus let people come in and out and come to the neighborhood safely. There were no issues last year. We were there, and we were in an unmarked police car. And actually a white Tahoe, unmarked. So with that said, no one really knew we were there, but we were there, 3 or 4 officers, and there was no issues. This year, we have been in constant communication with a lady who was new to the process. The process has been explained to her. We actually, because this was on the consent agenda for Eagle Park tonight, we actually did reach out to that individual today to make sure that she was aware of the process, aware of everything that it entailed, and we haven't received any word back from her as to whether she's going to put in an application or not. We also did, even before speaking to Miles this evening, we actually did say that, you know, the deadline would most likely be, you know, the workshop. So we are also going to communicate that to her. So we've done everything that we can in our power to try to accommodate everything that has to do with Pebble Creek. And we will continue to make sure they're safe as they Halloween trick or treat out there this year as well. If there's any questions?
If they don't submit the application, are you guys gonna be out?
If they don't submit the application, they'll be getting free security from the police department just like last year.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief.
I think that answers the concern.
Yeah, I just think, to piggyback on that, Alex, I mean, there's a lot of neighborhoods around town that either don't have an HOA, or one that's kind of close to mine, with a couple of us, is they have an HOA, but it's extremely disorganized. So to think that you would get an application, much less a fee out of them, is pretty,
Or there's 3 in one neighborhood.
and so I think, there's a procedure, as you know, and there's a procedure in place, and I think like Miles said, if we make an exception for one, then you gotta, where do you end it?
Well, I don't disagree, but you have to take under consideration the sheer volume of people that are particularly participating in a singular area. That's what drew concern. I know myself have been out there, Richard Turner went out there, and this is something that continued to be an issue, right? So I think it did go, I mean, it went well last year, but I just wanted to see sort of appetite and potentially waiving, but it doesn't sound like there is, so that's fine.
Was there anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, from my perspective, yes, I also spoke with several residents of the Reed community regarding the parking issues that Alex mentioned, so I'll echo that. We also, I think Miles has it, we received we talked to Stephen Reese during the interviews about the B4L annual celebration there, and they presented us with an award prior to the deluge for their annual celebration. So I'll just read it out here. The B4L Neighborhood Committee would like to present our appreciation award to the City of Belmont for your outstanding service to the city and our community, for your unwavering committee and service, and your continued support to our neighborhood and the surrounding areas in connection with our improvements at Reed Park. So we're very appreciative of that. And Assistant Chief Pullen was there to receive the award on behalf of the city, and so we are very appreciative of the appreciation award. So that's a good thing. I mentioned Walk to School Day, October 8th, 6:45 at Rodden Field. We'll walk to Page Primary. Is Duke Energy or someone still working on lines down South Point Road on Wednesdays?
It's just completely random, there's no...
Yeah. I had thought that was going to be finished within a couple weeks of school opening, and yet I encountered them this past Wednesday.
I believe that our police department went out there and spoke to the crew, and it wasn't the same crew, it was a different crew, right? And two different crews that have been there. So the initial crew said that, yes, they would be finished in the time frame that we gave you all, and it would start at 9 and end at 3. They didn't do that, so our police department went out to ask why. It was a different crew, and so they had no idea what these arrangements were.
So yeah, police traffic at Ray Nathan's is back open.
Yes.
That's it, you say referral.
You don't have to do it. Just on that point, Miles, I think I saw on the weekly update as far as regarding lane closures on South Point Road. The digs that they're doing for the Morgan's Branch project, isn't that going to involve some lane closures?
Yes, that's our crews that we go on that.
Okay, so we can specify, I think it's 9 to 2?
Right, we can. And then we work with NCDOT on the lane closures on that, because they'll be doing soft digs, I believe, on the side of the roads in certain areas, but yes, we'll control it ourselves.
The last thing I had was I wanted to thank the police for the response to the recent situation at Belmont Middle with their prompt response and the information they provided and transparency. I know everyone was appreciative of that. I did have a question as to whether we would be able to seek restitution from the individual responsible up in New York.
It was a call in New York.
Yeah.
Juvenile, two sisters.
Do I?
Juvenile and 2 sisters. We're trying to call Belmont Middle School anymore.
Oh, man.
Yes.
We did take in consideration to your request, and we have submitted it to the agency up north, where the person is at. We took every individual officer who was working that day and their salary times how long they were there based on the CAD system with the county police. And we have put that together. I submitted it to Miles and also submitted it to them, and also spoke to the district attorney here locally about that as far as restitution. And it actually lands on the agency from up north, and so we're waiting to hear back about that. I don't know any time frame,
And I don't
how long
obviously
the court case is going to take or whatever.
or whether we ever actually see any of it. But I mean, that inconvenienced a great many people and caused a lot of heartache and
There's a lot of manpower, not just from our agency, but from all over the county.
What was the estimated cost you associated?
I can't remember right off the top of my head.
You can just include that in
I will. The one thing I can tell you is we were not the only school in America that were victimized by the person or individual who did this. It was juvenile. There was multiple schools across the nation. So there's the manpower that included was substantial.
That's wild. Hey, and thank you for the officers that are doing the crosswalk for the kids.
No, absolutely.
At Belmont Middle School, it's absolutely helping with the traffic flow. These kids are behaving. I'm very thankful for that.
Oh, well, thank you.
And they're very friendly and they behave every single time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's all I have. Anything from you, Miles?
No, sir.
Parks, anything? Don't forget, our workshop is at 5 o'clock on the 20th, but we have more board interviews at 4 o'clock on the 20th. So,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Second.
Motion by Alex, second by Catherine. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.